it's an absolute pleasure for me to say these words to Colin Cameron. Welcome home. How does it feel?
Delighted. Yeah, it's great to be back. You know, I left way back in '96. You know, and I always thought I'd end up back here at some point. Maybe 26 years later, but you know, better late than never. But no, I'm absolutely delighted to be back, back where it all started. You know, and hopefully I can be as successful this time around as I was the first time.
It's a new challenge, but a lot of familiar faces in an environment that you've quite literally grew up with. Does it feel like you've won the football lottery a wee bit?
Well, you know what, yeah, there's still the same faces that come to matches. You know, I was at the Cove game the other week there, bumping into my old manager Andy Harrow and his wife Jill and family. I know Sinky still comes to the games with his lad, you know, and then we've got Willie McGregor, Jim O'Connell, you know, you can go through. They're all still here supporting the club, you know, which is great to see. And obviously the manager who I worked with at Airdrie was my last place that I worked 2.5 years ago, you know, and we spent 5-6 months together. Unfortunately I got cut short because of COVID, but even in that 5-6 months we worked well together, and I'm looking forward to working with him again.
Tell us about that relationship. What is it about Ian and what is it about your own kind of character and outlook on football that makes you think this is going to be a good fit?
It's a strange one considering we played at opposite sides of Edinburgh, you know, with Hibs and Hearts, but he wanted me to come in at Airdrie and I had no hesitation going in and joining them, and we just set it off. We've got similar views but different as well, you know, and I'm there for him to bounce off any ideas, and if I've got any ideas he's quite you know, susceptible to hear them and, you know, implement them if he sees fit, and as an assistant that's what you're there for, is to help him along. You know, if he's looking for some other opinion, then I'll definitely give him it if I feel strongly enough about it. And we just, yeah, it's just that we worked well together, and you know, as I say, things were going well there, but you know, unfortunately for all of us, you know, COVID came along and that changed everything.
I'm going to sound like the club's HR manager here when I ask you this question, but what do you bring to the role, Mickey? What's in your locker?
Enthusiasm, will to win. I mean, for the fans out there, they'll see exactly the same as what it was when I was a player. I don't think I'm any different as a coach. The only difference is I can't kick the ball, you know. But I can certainly give what I've learnt through my time in the game as a player. The experience that I've learnt, I can pass that on to the players that are in the dressing room, and I've no doubt in my own ability as a coach that I'll be able to help bring the players on and help the manager. And as I said, that's my main aim, is to help the club, and the way I do that is continue to be positive about everything that I do, and hopefully it rubs off on the players, you know, and any experience that I can give to the manager that's going to help him all the better.
In terms of your own transition into the kind of assistant manager's role, do you take a wee bit from everybody who's kind of guided you along the way, or is there a particular manager that you think, you know, that's a style and a value base that fits with who I am?
But again, that's totally down to experience, you know, and all the managers that I've worked under, you learn things, some good, some bad, you know. But I always look at my first 3 managers that I worked with Jimmy here at Raith Rovers, and then Jim Jeffries at Hearts, you know, and Dave Jones down at Wolves. These 3 guys had a big impact on my career and my life, and it's no you know, it's no secret that, you know, I spent 5 years at each of the clubs for that reason, because I got on so well with obviously the players and the management side of things. And they're the 3 guys that mainly that I look towards and see how they dealt with situations when I was a player, and all the good things that I think, yeah, I'm going to keep that on board, you know, and all the other things you just try and not get yourself into that same situation. And again, that's all down to experience.
What about the assistant manager's role? Because it's this interesting one of kind of bridging between the dressing room and the manager himself. But Ian said many times when he spoke to RaithTV that he's very approachable for the players themselves. So it's a nice, relaxed kind of environment.
It is. But again, I'm there to take a bit of pressure off the manager. So he can concentrate a lot more on team selection. Bringing players in, whatever, and the major decisions. And if you've not got an assistant, then you're having to. You're losing a lot of your time dealing with things that you don't really need to be dealing with, and that's what I'm there for. So, one of the first things I'll be saying to the players is, look, if you've got any issues, football related, non-football related, come to me, speak to me, and I'll help you if I can. If I can't, then I'll try and get somebody else that can. And that way it takes things off the manager's chest that he doesn't really need to be dealing with. Obviously on the coaching side of things, he'll find it a lot easier because he's not having to think about setting silly. It may sound really strange, and I always remember as a player, especially at Hearts, I used to drive Billy Brown mad, the assistant, because he'd set his cones up, and I would always be kicking them as you go past and that, and he'd go absolutely mental, and I really laughing at that. And then a few years ago, the boys doing exactly the same to me, and I'm trying to, geez, that was me when all the days of long ago. But setting up things, if he's wanting setting up again, that'll give him time to maybe, and it might not seem a lot, but maybe spend 5 minutes with an individual player that he wants to talk to that he might not be able to do because he's too busy concentrating on trying to set up a training session.
Tell us about the squad that you've seen. You're obviously a local here, and you've watched the players a bit. It's a squad with big potential that's, as manager said, just kind of past midweek there, just needs to find that extra wee bit. Yeah.
Again, throughout the last couple of seasons, I've seen the team, 3 or 4 times this season. This season, the Cove game was the first time I've had a chance to get along and see a game, and obviously I picked a good game because from start to finish I thought we controlled the game. Could have scored a few more, created a lot of chances, which is good. Scored 3, it could have maybe been 4 or 5, but you'll take that, a clean sheet. And I've seen a lot of good things. Still seen room for improvement, but there always is, no matter. I think the manager will be the same. There's things that you can improve on. But you take the positives from that, and also I know a lot of people look forward to seeing him again. Louis Vaughan's been out for a long time. I don't think he's too far away, and bringing him back into the squad will be a massive boost for everybody at the club. Not just the fans, but the players as well, because the quality he brings, everybody sees it when he's on the pitch. Hopefully we can get him back and get him back playing regularly, because he'll just add an extra bit of quality in that final third, which is maybe been a reason why we've maybe not scored as many goals as we should have. We're just lacking that extra bit of quality. But again, there's a lot to work with there and a lot to look forward to, and I know there'll be a lot of improvement to come from this set of players. It might not happen overnight. Nothing does, but I certainly see us as a team that will improve as the season goes on.
You're coming to work with an incredibly talented midfield set of players as well. I was looking at your stats, and it's exactly a goal every 4 games at Raith Rovers, 42 goals and 168 appearances. I was in your company when you were speaking to one of the younger players a couple of years ago, and you were saying the importance of adding goals to your game. You're particularly looking forward to working with that midfield set of players?
Good bunch of boys. I'm looking at them, I'm saying, it'd be nice to play in that midfield. Again, I go back to the Cove game, with Brad Spencer and Scott Brown. If I'm playing in front of them like Sam Stanton did, Sam's a totally different player compared to me, but he's got a lot more ability than me. He's a great talent boy. I was at Cowdenbeath and I took him on loan there when he was at Hibs as a kid, and I could see the potential that is there, and it looks like he's fulfilling it and taking that on board, you know what I mean. But you've also got Ross Matthews, who's been at the club for a long time, and even when he first started I was like, it reminds me of me a little bit in terms of his tenacity and his will to win, and he's recently, I've also noticed that he's adding goals to his game. you know, which is a pleasing thing, because I think he's one of these box to box types of players, you know, helping defence, but he can get forward and he's adding goals to his game, so there's good competition for places in there.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking back to maybe one of the last things that was spoken camera was when there was the Kraken retro strip was put out, and you kind of gave an address to the fans that must have got stopped about a dozen times with people saying, I'm ready to follow Mickey into battle. So you'd certainly got us fired up at that point, just with speaking about the launch of a strip. What would you want to say to Rover supporters now about the fact that you're back in the dugout, albeit that you've got a bench coat rather than that jersey on?
Yeah, look, it's a simple thing. I'm here to help the club be successful. You know, any time I've went to any club, whether it be playing or managing, my main aim was to try and be successful, to improve individually and then collectively, and that's not changed any. You know, as I say, you probably see it tonight. I've always said I'll try and take a backward step, but you know, it's like you cross that line and there's a little switch goes, and I just want to win. So you'll see that week in, week out with me. The players will certainly see it on the training pitch. I don't think I'll put any more demands on them than what the manager's doing at the moment, but instead of just having the manager, you know, they'll have me as well, and they'll know what's expected, because again, sometimes the manager might not want to say things because he doesn't want to upset the apple cart because he picks the team. I'm the guy there to do that, you know, and I'll certainly do that, and I think the manager's already told some of the players that that's what they expect, you know. So yeah, I can't wait to get started.
We know your standards, we know your capabilities, so let's just finish off by where we started with just saying welcome back.
Pleasure.